Hi, this is Kelsey Snell with Alaska Weather and Climate, ATM 101, on Unit 10 weather observations for this week. I'm located in central Alaska in Fairbanks in the central Tanana Valley. As we can see, it's pretty centralized in Alaska. So zoom in. My exact location is 1009 O'Connor Road. It's along College Road. Here's the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Ladd Army Field, Air Force Base, and Fort Wainwright. And here we have Creamer's Field. So it gives you a good idea of my personal location where my weather observations took place. Here is the worksheet for standard or the week-long observations, and my last day of observations were done at 4:30 at 1009 O'Connor Road, 64.5 degrees north, 147.73 west. Temperature outside was 47.4 degrees Fahrenheit on my left digital thermometer. My right digital read 47.7. Barometric pressure was 1,000.4 millibars, or 29.5 inches. There was no wind detectable at the time, so I put a Beaufort number of 0. There were some cloud covers. There wasn't very many. I almost did a quarter of the sky instead of half, but as I was watching kind of throughout the whole day, the morning started off with a decent amount of cloud cover and kind of got less throughout the day. But at the actual time, it was in between these two, so I should have actually had both of them. And they were cirrus-style clouds, or cloud formations. They were long, wispy, no precipitation was seen. And as we look at my histories, we can see that day 1 was just above freezing for my max on both sides. And the minimum, we were well below freezing that night. And then almost identical, just about 1 degree warmer on both the minimum and the maximum on day 2. Day 3, we saw a substantial rise in temperature from 36.5 to 41 degrees and a minimum rise of about 6 degrees total almost. And my right thermometer probe read almost the same. And then the 4th day, we see that it jumped up even more, about another 6 degrees Fahrenheit. But that night it got a little colder than the night before on both thermometers. And then we see on day 5 that we jumped up to a high point of 50.1, and we went warm again during that night. And as this reflects, day 1 observations was Sunday through Monday. Day 2 was Monday through Tuesday. Day 3 was Wednesday, Thursday, and so on and so forth. And here was a standard day or standard day for one of my observations. Indoor observation, outdoor observation, temperature inside was all the same on all my thermometers. I cheat a little bit and set my thermostat at 72. My house is pretty good at regulating heat. Here's my outdoor stuff. I took these at 4:25 p.m. and almost all of my observations are done between 4 and 5 p.m. usually right at the 4:30 mark. That's when I have time during the day. So yeah, no notes on that day. It was, pretty normal day for this time of year, warm, sunny. So here are my week-long weather observations. It won't let me pull up both of them at the same time, but this is the one that has the NWS data on it as well. So as you can see, here are my week-long observations that I already went over in my on the worksheet. And here we can see the graphs. I'm a little lower than what the NWS, only by 2 or 3 degrees. And then I'm warmer by a few degrees here, but for the most part I actually stay pretty well with it. And we can see that the lows, I stay pretty well in the range of the daily fluctuations. So I was pretty happy about that. Barometric pressure, mine was a little different than the NWS, but I had the same pattern, so I was pretty happy about that. We can see there's a rise, another rise, and then it kind of dips down right here, and then it just continues to dip down, dip down, dip down, and I'm pretty happy that I followed my graph followed the same pattern. Here, the humidity and the dew point and stuff like that, you can see it all follows the same pattern. And I don't know what that is for. But anyway, so looking through the week of observations, I started on Sunday, March 22nd. You can see there's a high pressure system kind of moving in towards Alaska on the whole west coast and into the Gulf, or not the Gulf of Alaska, that's over here, into Bristol Bay and into the Strait. We see there's a decent amount of cloud formation over central Alaska with some open areas. The next day, Monday the 23rd, we can see that high pressure system has kind of moved itself farther west, and a new high pressure system from the north has kind of come in. And I forgot to talk about this low pressure system moving up into the Gulf of Alaska and up into south central and southeast, and we can see that these two pressure systems met over the night or during this part of the day and kind of moved all along the Gulf of Alaska around here in Kodiak and moved along the Aleutian chain. And we can see this high pressure system right here kind of coming up from the southeast and getting ready to hit south central. Here in Fairbanks, in the interior, we can see that the cloud cover over the last few days, or over the last 24 hours, really lightened up and allowed some heat to get in during the day. And then Tuesday, from Monday to Tuesday, we see the same thing. A lot of these clouds are moving out into the Bristol Bay and the west coast of Alaska, and we can see there's almost no clouds over the interior. Wednesday, things are a little more jumbled up. We have a couple of different pressure systems moving in, a low pressure system coming up into the Gulf of Alaska, and a high pressure system kind of moving into the Strait here. Then Thursday, then we see some cloud cover here over the interior. Thursday, we can see there's definitely some cloud formations moving all throughout the state, and those pressure systems are really starting to kind of move up into the south central part of Alaska and into the Aleutian chain into the Gulf. And Friday, we see in the interior there's definitely some cloud cover, not super heavy. And this low pressure system is moving out towards the west coast of Alaska, and we can see that it moved kind of from here and hit the mountains and stuff like that and kind of got shifted and is now flaring out along the west coast. So here's a graph of the air temperature in Fairbanks. Started off on the 22nd at about 20 degrees, and we can see it's just kind of this constant up and down. I'm guessing this is the low during the nighttime, and this is the high during the midday. In between the 22nd and the 23rd, we have a low of about 5 degrees and a high of about 34, 35-ish. So overall, my observations were pretty standard. They followed the normal the normal pattern. And so, looking at all of this information, I'm pretty glad that my observations were able to follow the standard measurement and standard graphs of the week, and the patterns were pretty normal. I didn't have too many observations that were abnormal or any particular challenges, other than just making the time every day to really get good information. This week's been pretty hectic, so I hope everyone had a good week.